What we're going to be doing today is just some classic scones. So what we are going to be doing is doing the rubbing in technique. Going to be bringing the dough together and doing some shaping, and then going to be using some cutters. So you can see some of the equipment that I've got out already. I've got my baking tray, and that has been lined with just a baking sheet. I've got some measuring spoons, I've got a cutter. Now I've used quite a small cutter for this, just because I quite like the size of them, but obviously you can use ones that are very slightly bigger that maybe you might find in the shop. Do try to use the round ones, they do come out slightly better I find, but you could use some different shapes to see whether they come out. I've got my milk already measured, so that's 175 millilitres of milk. Just be careful of the fact that you might not need all of the milk, so maybe only measure out 170 mils to start with. I've got 350 grams of self-raising flour. Now if you can't get hold of self-raising flour, do just use plain flour, and then you can add in an extra half teaspoon of baking powder, and that will just balance out the difference. Then I've got 85 grams of hard butter. Now we do want to be using the hard butter rather than the margarine. Again, it's to do with the melting temperature, so you just need to make sure that you are doing that. So all I'm going to do is start with my big mixing bowl. I'm actually going to put my baking tray into the oven already. My oven is preheating at 220 degrees. So, question for you before we start: why do we preheat our ovens? So why do we make sure that we preheat our ovens for anything that we are making, but in particular when it comes to baking? So why do we preheat our oven? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put my flour into my big bowl. And my roughly chopped butter. So I've made these into slightly smaller pieces just because it's then easier to do the rubbing in technique. Now in year 7 we go over this quite a lot, and it's a really quick, easy method to actually learn. So the rubbing in technique, so the purpose of it is to coat the flour in a layer of fat, and that means that there's less gluten when we then add the liquid that can be produced. So when the liquid is added, our milk in this instance, because the flour has been coated in the fat, it means that it's got a protective layer around it to stop the liquid from getting to the flour. So that's the reason behind it, so it doesn't form as much of the gluten strands that we might find in bread. So when we're doing the rubbing in technique, all we're doing is we're lifting up and rubbing our fingers together and just squishing almost to start with the butter and the flour. So all I'm doing is just rubbing everything together. You'll notice that I'm not really getting any of the flour on my palms. We don't want that to be getting on there, because the butter will start to melt, because your palms will be slightly hotter than your fingertips. And just keep going, and you're going to do this until your flour and butter resembles breadcrumbs. Move the bowl around, make sure you're really getting underneath. You could do this in a food processor if you wanted, if you didn't want to do this by hand. It is a little bit quicker, but the technique is something that all students do need to learn, because it's one that we use a lot, certainly in Key Stage 4, using that rubbing in technique when we're making pastry as well. So that's pretty much done. All I'm then going to do is just quickly shake the bowl, and that brings any of the big bits up to the top, so then I can just continue and make sure that they really then get moved around. Remember, you're wanting it to look and resemble like breadcrumbs. Just give the bowl another shake. There we go, perfect. Okay, so there we have it. We've got my breadcrumbs. I'm not going to wash my hands yet, just because I'm going to be doing some other bits and pieces, and that's going to get my fingers dirty as well. So now that I've done that bit, I'm then going to be adding my caster sugar, my baking powder and my salt. So I've got 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm then going to do a teaspoon of baking powder. Making sure that these are level teaspoons. And then I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of caster sugar. The recipe is also shared below, so please have a look at those as well, just to double check the quantities. So there we have it. I've got my salt, my baking powder and my sugar, and I'm just going to give that a mix round to make sure it's all well combined in there. Remember, if you're using plain flour, you might want to add just a little bit extra of the baking powder. So there we have it. So I'm then going to add half of my milk, or just over half. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a knife, just a butter knife, just to mix it together to start with. And then I can bring my dough, my hands in later on. You can get your hands just straight in if you want, but this sort of dough doesn't really like being handled too much. Again, think about your temperature of your hand. So because that's not all completely gathered in, I'm going to add the rest of that milk. So now that that's pretty much done, I'm just going to bring the dough together. Just making sure that you pick up all of the crumbs. Bringing the dough all together into one big bit. Now I haven't put any flour down on my worktop or anything at this point. I don't feel like I need to, but I may want to later on. All I'm then going to do, I'm not going to use a rolling pin. All I'm going to do is just use my palm to push down the scone. And the reason that I'm only using my palm of my hand is just because the rolling pin really doesn't, it pushes it down too much and you work with it. So a question for you is, why do we want to work with the dough quickly? So why do we want to work with the dough quickly? So at this stage, I have still got my baking tray is in the oven, so I'm not going to be getting that yet. I'm going to cut out all of my shapes first and then go from there. What I'm going to do is just put my cutter just into a little bit of flour just to coat it. And another question you can do is, why do we want to put flour on the cutter before cutting it? So why do we put flour on this before doing that? And then all I'm going to do is just push down. And very gently push out your scones. So you should find that your scones, when they're cut out, should be 2 to 3 centimeters thick. You want to try and get as many pieces out of your dough as possible. Before then reshaping your dough. So bring your dough back together, and again you want to knead this as little as possible. Again, just pressing it out with the palm of your hand. There you have it, you have got your dough ready. Just going to wash my hands. So all I've got now is I've just got the jug that my milk was in, and I'm just cracking an egg into that. If you find that you're allergic to egg, then you can use milk as a glaze on top, okay, rather than the egg. So if you're allergic to eggs, or you've got somebody in your family that's vegan, you could be using alternative butter. So you could do alternative butter for the scones. The milk, you could use alternative milk as well. You could use soya milk or something that you can have in your family, and then you can use that milk as a glaze on the top as well. So what is the I did ask this question last week, but what is the function of the egg? But also there are a number of other functions that eggs have. I'm wondering whether you can research as to what those functions of the eggs have got. So there's a number of different purposes for using eggs. What are they? So I'm just going to get my baking tray now out of the oven. So that should be really hot. And remember, I asked that question right back at the beginning, as why do I want to preheat the oven? But why do you think I've also preheated my baking tray as well? Make sure that you use oven gloves for getting this out of the oven. And I want to work with this quickly. So with the egg, I'm just brushing the top. And just use a pastry brush to brush the top. don't want the egg going down the side. I want it only on the top. So the reason I don't want it going down the side is, if you remember, egg doesn't take very long to cook, and especially in the small quantity that we're using. So if it was to be going down the side, it would then stop the growth of our scones rising up. And there we have it. That's then going to go back into the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. So you're going to know when your scones are done by the fact that they will have risen. They should be nice golden top, and they should be split round the side of your scone. They're also going to be quite light and fluffy, so when you break them open they should break apart quite easily. You'll see that I've got a cooling rack ready for my scones to go onto them. The other thing that you can do is, when they come out of the oven, is just turn them over and just tap them on the bottom like we have done with any bread that we've made, and it then should sound hollow, and that way then as well we know that they're done. So here you have it, you've got my scones. So all I'm going to do is just pick one of them, turn them over, and you can see that they've got a nice brown bottom, and then just tap, and you'll see if they sound hollow or not, which they do. You can also see some of them are a little bit misshapen, and you may find that those are the ones that have been rolled a couple of times, so they've been recut. But you'll see from a lot of these, I'll just get them onto the tray. So you'll see from quite a few of these that they've got a really good split around them. That's a much better demonstration there. So nice split around there. You've got a lovely golden top, and as I said, they sound hollow. And that is it. That is your scones done. You can serve these with cream and jam. Maybe you've had a go at making your own jam as well, which is always a good trick to be able to do. But enjoy.